So there are two different types of backside 180s. One to where you ollie and do the full 180 rotation in the air, and the other one is to where you ollie and do partially in the air and partially on your front truck, which I'm going to go over both for you, but you're going to want to know some tricks first. First off, you're going to want to have a nice, solid, controlled ollie because it's an ollie backside 180. So if you kind of have an ollie that's kind of it's going to make it a lot harder to learn the backside 180. You're also going to want to be very comfortable with rolling regular and fakie, which if you don't know what fakie is, that is rolling backwards, which you need to be pretty comfortable with that because you're going to roll away fakie. And then knowing how to frontside 180, backside kick turn, and half cab are going to be pretty useful, but they're not like mandatory to learn this trick. So if you don't know them, it's not the end of the world, but just saying it would help. Which we're going to start with the method that I think is the easiest to learn, which is the full 180 in the air. So now it's time to get into foot placement. So my foot placement for a backside 180 is very similar to the one that I do for an ollie, but I hang a little bit more of my front foot heel off, which I will explain why later. But FYI, this is just what my foot placement is. Yours could be completely different because everybody sets their feet up in their own unique way. So now it's time to understand how the trick works. So as you're bending down, you want to start turning your head and shoulders front side to wind up your head and shoulders to make it easier to get the momentum to spin the whole 180 around. Because you want your head and shoulders at least 90 degrees when your tail hits the ground. And then when you pop your ollie, your feet do the exact same thing as you do for a regular ollie. The only thing that's different is your shoulders are still turning to finish out that rotation. Then you land and roll away clean. Now I'm sure that sounded a lot simpler than it actually is, but let's break it down so we can make it a lot easier. Now with your feet in the backside 180 position, you're going to turn your shoulders front side as much as you can and turn them backside as much as you can, and then press the tail down like you would for a regular ollie. And then you're going to want to do that a lot to build it into your muscle memory. So what I used to do is just set a timer for like 1, 2, or 5 minutes and just do that just for that amount of time. Then when that timer's up and you're really comfortable with doing it, it's time to move on to step 2. Which practice 2 is very similar to practice 1. Wind up your shoulders front side, spin back side, pop the tail down, except this time you're going to want to slide that front foot up. You do this to get comfortable with turning your shoulders and trying to do an ollie at the same time. Just make sure your front foot is going straight up and not kind of off to the side a little bit, because a big problem that people have with this trick is their front foot not sliding up straight and it slides at an angle and just flies right off. Whee! Which you can try to focus on just having it slide straight up the board instead of off the side. But if that doesn't work, hang a little bit more of your heel off the front of the board. It takes more distance for it to slide off and it stays on there a little bit better, at least for me. Alright, number 3. So find something that you can use as a visual marker, so then you can place it at like 45 degrees and then 90 degrees. And slowly get more comfortable and chip it away until you can get the full 180. So probably the biggest problem that most people have with this style of back 180, remember, there are two, so don't go anywhere, which are not getting the full rotation, which is probably because of one of two things. So the first one is you stop turning your head because you're looking at your feet, which is something everybody does when they're learning this trick, me included. So, but one thing that I remember that helped me when I was trying to combat that problem is finding something to look at. Be like, okay, I need to ollie and look at that wall, or ollie and look at, you can even use that marker that you had from earlier. And the other part of it, you probably don't have that timing down between turning your shoulders and popping your ollie, which to fix that, just go back to the practice steps. Now it's time for style number 2. So the foot position for this one is going to be a little bit different. So if I'm trying to pivot on my front foot, I'm going to start putting my front foot a little bit closer to the nose, so then it's easier to get my foot on there, because you have to have your foot on your nose at least a little bit to pivot. So the first 2 practice steps of this one are the exact same one as the other ones. Wind up, swing, pop, wind up, swing, pop, slide up. But number 3 is where they get different. So when you first start doing a little bit at a time, be like, all right, 45, 90, you have to make sure that your front foot lands on the nose, because you have to have your foot on the nose so you can put weight on it and pivot the rest of the way around. So once you get comfortable doing an ollie and then landing 90 with your front foot on the nose, start just pressing a little bit on the nose and then turning the rest of the way. And then once you get that down, all you have to do is put a little bit of weight on your front foot and you'll spin the rest of the way around. So another thing that I remember struggling with is the board going behind me, which there was a couple causes for that. One, just when I bend down, I have too much weight on my toes and the board flies behind me. So what I do is I think about keeping the board flat and also keep my back straight, because if you're bent over too much, it's going to cause you to put too much weight in front of you, which is going to cause you to put more weight on your toes to not fall over. But if you have any questions with this, don't hesitate to leave in a comment down below. I'd love to try to help you figure this trick out. And while you're down there, you might as well hit the little red subscribe button, because I upload shorts every single day where I learn a new trick, and also post a long YouTube video every single week. So I will see you in sometime in the future.